In this video, we're going to be taking a look at DJ Abel's DJ mix that he has kindly sent in for us to take a look at and review. Hopefully we can provide him with some good feedback, letting him know what he has done well, and hopefully helping him with things that he can improve on to help him improve as a DJ. Now, if you're new to this channel and this style of video, you might be thinking, why listen to me? My name is Jack and I have been a professional international DJ for over 15 years, DJing all around the world for clubs, bars, boat parties, pool parties, and festivals. I've also been teaching people how to DJ online since 2018, and in that time taught over 20,000 people how to DJ. Now the introduction out of the way, let's take a look at DJ Abel's mixes. Alright, so the first thing that I like to say is I do like the layout that you've got here. It's really easy to give feedback on. You can clearly see the DJ software and you can see yourself in the corner as well doing the mixes. But the main thing that we can see here is the software and all the different hot cues and the transitions that you're going to use and do. Now straight away I can spot your hot cues here and it looks very similar to a system that I teach in my course. So I'm very interested to see how this sounds and if you apply this system well. So you might notice here there's a loop right at the start of the track, an orange loop, and then also two hot cues towards the end of the track. So right now here we are in my DJ course. If I scroll down to basic dance and house music mixing techniques and then scroll down here to the 32 beat loop intro, open that up. Without even watching the video, you can probably see a very similar system that I have set up here. I have the loop at the start of the track to mix in and two hot cues that are different colors to mix out at the end. So you can probably see the similarities there. So I'm very interested to see how this mixing sounds. Alright, so we just applied a bit of effects then to the track just before the drop. Now one thing he did mention in his application form is that he feels like he might be using effects a little bit too much, so we'll just have a watch. So just applying some effects again. Looks like filter and echo. Alright, so yeah, that's completely fine. So I'm applying a little bit of filter and some echo just before the drop does add some extra tension. And the way you're using it is quite subtle, so it's not too in your face. If I wasn't watching you do that, I wouldn't really notice that you're applying the effects, which is good, because you're adding the effects in a nice subtle way that should add to the track. A lot of DJs do this where they add some extra effects during the build-up just to add some extra tension, and then just pull it out just before the drop. It's especially popular in house music. That's fine as long as you don't overdo it and make it too intense. You don't have to do it on every drop, but I can see why sometimes just standing there and not doing anything whilst the track drops can be quite hard for a DJ. A lot of time DJs like to feel like they're doing things to the track constantly, and that is one reason why I think a lot of DJs apply effects before the drops, because it's hard just to stand back and let the track drop. So far it's not too bad and it sounds okay. Alright, we're looking through the track. And we've set a hot cue here in a loop. I don't know, I think this is a random point.
Tonight's the night. I've been waiting all week for this.
So we notice that there's no preparation on the track on the right hand side. And now we're going back to the start. Alright, we're struggling to get back to the start there. I see you laughing. Alright, now just one quick tip though. If you do set a hot cue later in the track and you do want to go back to the start of the track, if you just hold shift and press Q, it's a quick shortcut to get you to the start of the track. So that's shift plus Q and it'll take you back to the start of the track. So try that next time you get stuck. Alright, so now we're setting a loop at the start of the track. The problem with this loop is I don't think it leads into anything significant. So generally when you set a loop like this at the start of the track, let me just wind it on a little bit. You ideally want the part after the loop to be quite significant. So maybe like a bass line coming in or a melody or a vocal. And what you'll do then is use the loop to mix in. So it should be just drums really. And then when you're ready to mix out, you exit the loop and it goes into the main parts of the track. but it looks like it's just drums still here, so it might be an ineffective way of using a loop, but we'll have a listen. Again, we're adding some echo and effects there. The loop is out of time at the minute, but we're just focusing on them effects. Alright, into the drop. Let's see if we correct this loop. Alright, okay, yep, so we wound it back, that's cool. Alright, so now the loop is in time with the other track, and that's what we want. Now, normally when I use this system, I will then mix out of the track using these two hot cues. So they're markers usually for me to let me know when to mix out of a track. They might mix out hot cues when I set them on my track, so let's have a watch. Now, one reason why you use loops like this, or what I teach anyways, because it gives you time for you to get the beats in time with the other track, check it in your headphones, and also line that phrase up with the other track structure so your mix time's right as well, and you're always ready just to exit the loop and mix into the next track. Alright, so we're winding it back. Alright, now your loop is out of time. I can see why you did that, because there is a gap here of 4 beats without a kick drum. Now, normally that happens before the start of a next phrase, but the one track you've chosen here is an outlier. This is a rare case. It doesn't normally happen like this. So I can see why you've done this, but I'm going to show you how to correct it in a minute. This is one of the rare examples where at the start of the phrase, they remove the kick drum for 4 beats and it comes back in, but the actual start of the phrase is here. So we shouldn't have actually moved this loop back 4 beats. So I'll just keep watching. And you can see that now because the loop doesn't line up with the exit point. So these two hot cues are not 32 beats apart now, which should be the first red flag for the two hot cues. Tracks are usually structured in 32 beat blocks, and that is ideally where you want your hot cues, at the start of a 32 beat phrase and at the end of it. Alright, so this mix is going to be 4 beats out of time. You'll hear the change. This hot cue is right, so you'll hear the change on this hot cue here, and you'll hear how it's 4 beats out. But then your loop resets there. 4 beats at a time. Then you want to really exit the loop here. Yep. And then it just loses energy. Alright, so ideally at this point here on this track is where you want to go into the significant sounds of the next track. So that's where you should have exited the loop, and then the next track's bass line should have come in at that point, and they should have switched over at the right time. So not only with 4 beats out of time here, we also didn't transition to anything significant and it's lost a lot of energy. Let's keep listening. We've also not introduced the low frequencies on this track here. So not only have we lost the low frequencies on the track on the left, you've not introduced any low frequencies on the right hand side. As we can see here in the middle, the low frequency dial is down. So it's going to lose a lot of energy in this transition. Alright, we're creeping it up slowly here. And then the proper bass comes in there. Alright, so there's a few things we can improve on there that I'm just going to quickly show you in my software so you understand a little bit more. Alright, so on the left hand side, I'm going to drag the track up that you started with. And this track here is at 125 beats per minute, like we mentioned, but we play it at 138. So I just need to speed that right up. So here we go, 138 beats per minute. Now, I could not find the other track that you used. I don't know where you got it from. I even searched YouTube and I could not find it anywhere. Alright, so I'm going to have to use another random track. Now, I did see that you're using trance tracks, so what I'm going to do is just go into Beatport, go into Genres, scroll down until I get to Trance, open this up, go to the top 100, and I'm just going to use the top track just here as an example, just to try and help you with this transition. Alright, so let's take a look at your exit hot cues that you set. So around this part of the track here. All right, we set one just there because we thought that was the start of a phrase, which is understandable. I can completely understand why you would think that because of the little 4-beat break before it. So we'll set a hot cue just here. But you'll see in a minute why that's wrong, and I'll show you how to go around that so it doesn't happen again. All right, and the next phrase here, just that, goes into that next section. So that is where your second hot cue was. Now that's fine if you want to mix out at that point, but if that is the point you want to mix out at, what I would normally do is set my exit point first where I want to mix out and then beat jump backwards 32 beats, so my timing is always right. So for example, we're at hot cue D here, and this is where we want to mix out the track. I'm going to go to beat jump and then go to the left 32 beats. And you can see how this takes us to the start of that 4-beat break, which is actually the start of the phrase, where our hot cue should be. So I'm going to delete hot cue C and then just set it here. And you can hear the change in the track as well. And as if you count along with the track, you'll notice that this is the start of the phrase, but it's just got 4 beats removed after it. And that's because the instruments and the vocals continue as normal and they just remove the kick and the bass. Now for me personally, I wouldn't mix out at this point. I think I would have mixed out one phrase later because there's still some energy in the track here. We've still got some bass line, but it is a creative choice. If you want to mix out there, that's fine. I would personally do this. Listen to when the bass goes out. There, that is where the energy really drops, all right? So I'm going to set my hot cues here. So if I was to do this, the system that I use, set a hot cue there, beat jump back 32 beats. Remember, go to the end of it where you want to do the transition, then beat jump back 32 beats. So you know your timing's always going to be right. So we find where the significant sounds end on the track here, jump back, so we've got a timing hot cue as well. So now what I need to do on the track I'm mixing in next is find where the main elements and the sounds come in on this track. Now I've just noticed it says 70 BPM here on my software. It's just because it's analyzed it at half speed. So I'm just going to quickly change that. Going to beat grid edit. I'm just going to double the speed of it to 140, which is actually the speed of the track. And then what we're going to do is just listen to the track. So this is just a random track because I couldn't find the one before, but it's just to show you that technique on how to use it properly. So we've still got drums here. Still drums. So nothing significant yet, and the bass comes in here. All right, that is the first point of interest that we want to mix into. So what I would do is wind back here. Now, if I'm using the 32-beat loop intro that I teach, what I would do from here, I wouldn't set a hot cue. You can do, but you don't need to. Go to beat jump and then beat jump back 32 beats. Then I would set that loop at the start of this track here. Save it in my hot cue bank just like this. Then I can use these beats here as an intro and use the intro as long as possible. And keep it running in time with the background of the other track. And then when I'm ready, I can just exit the loop. Into that part of the track. All right, so all together, that would sound like this. Let me just get these two tracks beat matched up, and I'm just going to use Beat Sync for this, just for the purpose as I'm showing you the timing. So as this track drops, I'm going to press the loop. All right, now you can see now how I can use this loop in the background constantly. It'll always be in time with the other track. And then when I'm ready to mix and do the transition, I'll do it between hot cue C and D, and then switch the basses over towards the end of the mix and just listen to how clean this sounds. All right, so hopefully you can see then how that transition between them two tracks was a lot smoother. When one track's bass line ended, the other track's bass line began. And I also used that loop to slowly get the timing right and introduce the new track, and then exit the loop and switch them over at the right time. That is personally how I use my system with these hot cues. Let's do that mix again. So hopefully now you understand why this loop is out of time. All right, now this is cool. This is where I'd exited this loop and gone into something significant. So you want the bass coming in on the next track in 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And there's nothing. Energy is lost. So it's actually this point here where we should have set the loop before. So the loop should have looked like this, okay? And then we should have looped this section of this track and exited the loop and gone into this bass line here just as the bass line ended on the other track. So if you just listen to this track now, you can hear the bass line come in. Just there. And I would have shown you that if I could have found this track, but I can't find this track anywhere. All right, so my homework for you, DJ Abel, would be, if I was giving you advice as one of my students, to actually change your hot cues here, just one phrase later on this track. So I would put your last hot cue just here at the end of this phrase, and then the timing hot cue where hot cue F is just here. So I'd switch them just one phrase later. And I would also set your loop just before the bass comes in, 32 beats before, just here, like this. So that would actually lead you into this point here. So your loop then would look like this, and you would want this loop to end and go into the bass just as it gets to this last hot cue. That way then, as the bass finishes here on this track, the bass will start on this track here. That is where you want your transition to happen. So I hope that mix review helps you with your DJing, and I hope it helps anyone watching at home as well. If you do want to learn the techniques that I use when I DJ live, and I have been using over the last 15 years, you can check out my DJ course in the link below, or go to offtherackjack.com. If you do want to watch another mix review that I do just like this, where I break down people's DJ mixes and give feedback, check out this video here, which is another video where I do just that. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in the future. Bye for now.